Okay, this is a video response to God created animals for food, and hopefully it'll clear up any confusion whatsoever, because as this girl goes on to state that we have a warped view, that Christians have a warped view on scriptures, I believe that she is the one that's in error and has a warped view. So without further ado, let me continue to read here. Let us place Genesis 1:29 and 9:3 side by side to properly understand these two verses. Okay, in her video, she used the verse Genesis 1:29 where God says, "See, I have given you every herb that yields seed which is on the face of all the earth, and every tree whose fruits yield seed. To you it shall be for food." And she used that verse to prove that we're all supposed to be vegans. That was the original diet that God gave mankind, and that was the way it was supposed to be, and therefore that justifies her and everyone else to be vegan. But she failed to mention Genesis 9:3, because had she continued to read further in Scripture, she would have read this: "Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. I have given you all things, even as the green herbs." Now, that was Genesis 9:3, the verse that she failed to mention to you. The first thing we should note about these verses is that they were both spoken by God to man in the context of a blessing. You need to read the preceding few verses first to understand that. Certainly, one would not expect someone who blesses another to give him poison as food. Secondly, if we were to analyze these two verses carefully, we will discover that both of these verses are very similar in structure. They are both God-given instructions to man, which may be further broken down into two parts: grant of authority and exacting of responsibility. The first involves God's grant of authority or permission to man that he may freely take the life of both seed-bearing trees and plants and clean animals for consumption. The second denotes an obligation on man's part, even a command, that man should derive his nourishment from both plant and animal foods. In both instances, the Bible uses the word shall, ha-ya, in Hebrew to show that it is not an option. It is for this reason that self-inflicted starvation or anorexia nervosa is a sin condition that has to be dealt with. As the creation of God, we have a God-given responsibility to take care of our bodies by consuming the foods that God has provided for us. Animal food is not depicted as inferior to plant food in any way. It nourishes us in the same way that plant foods do, even as the green herbs. In both instances, the same Hebrew word for food, okla, is used. In fact, the Bible often depicts animal foods to be somewhat superior. For instance, the promised land of Canaan is described as a land flowing with milk and honey, both of which are animal foods, not a land flowing with lettuces and tomatoes. Meat was often offered to special guests and eaten on festive occasions. Read Genesis 18:7-8 and 1 Samuel 25:8-18. Today, medical and nutritional research has proven God's wisdom in giving instruction in Genesis 9:3. Human beings cannot manufacture vitamin B12 and the 8 essential amino acids needed by the body, but must obtain them from food. Vitamin B12 is found only in animal foods. Deficiency in vitamin B12 leads to pernicious anemia, disease of the red blood cells, neuropathy, nerve damage, and brain damage. Blood tests of vegetarians have shown that they are often deficient in vitamin B12, essential amino acids, the fat-soluble vitamins such as A, D, E, and K, even vitamins B1 and B2, and certain minerals such as zinc, magnesium, iron, and selenium. These are essential nutrients for health. Long-term veganism has been implicated in female infertility, miscarriages, reproductive disorders, low sperm count, dementia, Alzheimer's disease, depression, blindness, brain damage, and other diseases of the nervous system. In short, vegans who fail to supplement with vitamin B12, the natural form of which comes from an animal source, and other micronutrients are digging their own graves. Vitamin B12. We must remember that in Bible times, there were no manufactured nutritional supplements or artificially fortified foods. All the macro and micronutrients that are essential for health were to be obtained naturally from food that was eaten daily. Animal foods are called complete proteins because they contain all 8 essential amino acids. The building blocks of life. Without these, our bodies will not be able to produce new cells, including hair, skin, sperm, and eggs, tissues, enzymes, antibodies, and hormones. Nutritionists believe that we need about 1 gram of complete protein for every 2 pounds of body weight. To get the equivalent of these from plant foods, a vegan has to eat a wide variety of grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds every day. This can lead to an overload of carbohydrates. Experts such as Dr. Barry Sears, PhD, have shown that having an excessive carbohydrate intake can lead to problems such as weight gain, increased body fat, production of bad prostaglandins, hyperinsulinemia, hypoglycemia, and cardiovascular disease, besides putting stress on the pancreas and adrenal glands. Furthermore, to use as an illustration from the IT industry, why would we want to buy individual word processing, spreadsheet, email scheduling, and database programs when we can buy an integrated software package that already comes with all these?